A quiet, rural town nestled near a highway, often frequented by passing bikers and truckers. A small roadside diner, Maggie's Stop, a well-loved, old-fashioned joint with a cozy atmosphere. Late afternoon, the golden sun casting long shadows over the town, painting a deceptive picture of peace. A gentle breeze rustles the trees, the distant hum of engines signaling incoming travelers. The townfolk, familiar with trouble, carry an air of cautious routine, aware that peace here is always temporary. Olivia Liv Carter, a retired Navy commander, known for her intelligence and strategic mind. Strong and composed, her piercing gaze reveals a woman who has seen the harshest realities of life. A decorated war veteran, having led covert operations and combat missions in the most dangerous territories. After retirement, she settled in the countryside, preferring solitude over the noise of war. Runs a veteran support group, dedicating her life to helping former soldiers transition to civilian life. The late afternoon sun drapes the town in hues of gold and amber, casting long, stretching shadows over cracked sidewalks and weathered storefronts. The light dances off the windows of the old roadside diner, a landmark for travelers and drifters alike. To an outsider, it looks serene, almost picturesque, the kind of place where life moves slow, where time itself seems to linger just a little longer before surrendering to night. Yet, beneath the surface, peace is a fragile illusion. A gentle breeze rustles the trees lining the narrow streets, stirring up the scent of brewing coffee and fresh-baked pies from the diner. The faint hum of distant engines cuts through the quiet, a reminder that this town, nestled along a highway frequented by bikers and truckers, is never truly still. The townsfolk move about their business with a wary sense of routine, as if rehearsing a well-practiced survival tactic. They've seen trouble before. They know it always comes back. At a corner booth in the diner, Olivia Liv Carter sits alone, her presence commanding without effort. She is not an ordinary woman, and anyone who takes a second glance can sense it. Her posture is straight-backed, disciplined, as if the military never fully left her body. Her piercing gaze, sharp and calculating, moves like a predator surveying its surroundings, not with fear, but with the quiet confidence of someone who has walked through fire and emerged unscathed. A retired Navy commander, Liv carries the weight of a past etched in battlefields and whispered through classified operations. She has led covert missions into enemy territory, made life-or-death decisions in the heat of war, and faced horrors most people can't even imagine. But war leaves its mark in ways the world doesn't see. She left that life behind, retreating to the countryside in search of solitude over the noise of war. Yet, even in this quiet town, the instincts remain. She watches, she calculates, she prepares. Now, she channels her energy into something greater, a veteran support group, her way of ensuring that soldiers like her don't fade into obscurity once the battlefield is behind them. She helps them adjust, heal, and find purpose beyond the uniform. But today, as the golden sun dips lower and the hum of approaching engines grows louder, Liv knows one thing for certain. Peace never lasts. And when trouble comes knocking, she'll be ready. Dressed in practical clothing, she exudes quiet confidence. No unnecessary movements, no wasted words. The townsfolk respect her, though few know the full extent of her past. The peace is shattered by the roar of engines as a rowdy biker gang rolls into town. A group of 6 men, all clad in leather, their patches signaling their allegiance to a notorious outlaw club. Duke, their leader, a towering, broad-shouldered brute, known for his short temper and iron-fisted rule. Jax, his right-hand man, a wiry troublemaker with a mean streak, always looking to provoke people. The bikers swagger into the diner, their presence heavy, filling the space with an oppressive energy. Locals fall silent, their heads lowering instinctively, knowing it's best not to draw attention. The gang is infamous for harassing townsfolk, getting away with intimidation and petty crimes. Liv sits in her usual corner, sipping coffee, her senses on high alert. Across from her sits Joe, a fellow veteran, confined to a wheelchair after an injury in the field. The bikers scan the room, their eyes locking onto Joe, sensing an easy target. Jack smirks, sauntering over, mockingly tapping Joe's wheelchair. "What's the matter, old man? Legs stop working? Guess you weren't fast enough out there, huh?" Joe, used to this kind of taunting, stays quiet, gripping his coffee cup. Liv's eyes narrow, but she remains calm, sipping her drink, calculating. Duke leans in, sneering at Liv. "And what about you? Some kind of army Barbie? Must have been real cute playing soldier." The bikers laugh, the tension in the diner thickening. Liv exhales slowly, setting her coffee down, and delivers a quiet yet chilling response. "Careful, boy. You're not ready to know what I've done." A brief moment of silence. Duke's smirk falters, but Jax laughs it off, brushing her aside. The sheriff is absent, conveniently out of town, as he often is when the bikers show up. The locals shift uncomfortably, averting their eyes, afraid to stand up. The diner owner, Maggie, looks to Liv, her expression pleading. She knows Liv is the only one capable of handling this. Liv, however, doesn't react emotionally. She's patient, observant. She knows their type. They'll push and push, believing they're invincible. The sun begins to dip, casting an eerie orange glow over the small town as Liv exits the diner. Liv exhales slowly, setting her coffee cup down with deliberate ease. The soft clink against the table is almost inaudible, yet the weight behind it is unmistakable. She lifts her gaze to Duke, and when she speaks, her voice is calm, measured, a whisper of steel wrapped in silk. "Careful, boy. You're not ready to know what I've done." The words don't need volume to land. For a brief moment, silence swallows the room. The kind of silence that precedes a storm. Duke's smirk falters, just a fraction, but Liv catches it. A tiny crack in his armor, a moment of hesitation that tells her everything she needs to know. Jax doesn't see it. He laughs, brushing her off with the arrogance of someone who's never had to face the consequences of his actions. "Big words, lady. But talk don't mean much." The tension in the diner thickens, suffocating. The locals know better than to get involved. The sheriff, conveniently out of town. He always is when Duke and his crew roll through, always turning a blind eye in exchange for a quiet life. The townspeople shift uncomfortably in their seats, eyes darting down to their plates, their drinks, anywhere but at Liv. They know these bikers will push and push, reveling in their unchecked power. They believe they're untouchable. And yet, there's something different tonight. For a brief moment, silence swallows the room. The kind of silence that precedes a storm, thick with tension and anticipation. Duke's smirk falters, just a fraction, but Liv catches it. A tiny crack in his armor, a moment of hesitation that tells her everything she needs to know. Jax doesn't see it. He laughs, brushing her off with the arrogance of someone who's never had to face the consequences of his actions. "Big words, lady. But talk don't mean much," he scoffs, dismissing her with a wave of his hand. The tension in the diner thickens, suffocating. The locals know better than to get involved in the affairs of bikers like Duke and his crew. They've witnessed the chaos and destruction these men bring, learned that standing up to them could cost more than just a few bruises. The sheriff, conveniently out of town. He always is when Duke and his crew roll through, always turning a blind eye in exchange for a quiet life, unwilling to risk his own comfort for the sake of the townspeople. As Liv's gaze sweeps across the diner, she can feel the weight of the townsfolk's fear pressing down on her. They shift uncomfortably in their seats, eyes darting down to their plates, their drinks, anywhere but at Liv. They know these bikers will push and push, reveling in their unchecked power. They believe they're untouchable, immune to the repercussions of their actions. And yet, there's something different tonight. The air feels charged, crackling with an energy that signals a turning tide. Liv can sense it, a primal instinct honed from years of facing danger head-on. She's not just another target, she's a force to be reckoned with. The other bikers chuckle at Jax's bravado, feeding off his arrogance. But as Liv holds their gaze, she sees the flicker of uncertainty in Duke's eyes, a reminder that he's not as invincible as he wants to believe. Her heart beats steadily in her chest, a reminder of her strength and the battles she has fought in the past. "You think you can intimidate me?" Liv asks, her voice steady and resolute. The words hang in the air, defiant against the laughter and mockery. Duke's smirk returns, but it's more forced now, the laughter of his crew faltering as they feel the shift in the atmosphere. "Intimidate? Nah, sweetheart. We're just having a little fun. You're just in the wrong place at the wrong time." Liv stands tall, unwavering. "Fun for you, maybe. But I'm not going to let you tear this town apart while you play your games." The laughter dies down, and for the first time, the gang looks at her with something other than disdain, curiosity, perhaps even respect. The locals stir, some exchanging glances, a silent conversation passing among them. They've seen Liv handle herself before, they know her past. The women and men at the diner, though afraid, can't help but feel a swell of admiration for her courage in the face of danger. Suddenly, Duke takes a step closer, invading her space, his posture imposing. "What are you going to do about it?" "This is our territory now, Commander." Liv's eyes narrow, her expression fierce. "You're wrong. This is my home. And if you think I'll let you walk all over it, you have no idea who you're dealing with." The room is tense, the balance of power shifting ever so slightly. Duke's crew shifts uncomfortably, the laughter replaced by an electric anticipation, unsure of how this confrontation will unfold. Liv stands firm, the embodiment of resolve, ready to face whatever storm may come. The moment hangs in the air, a palpable challenge. In that brief silence, the town watches, holding its breath, waiting for Liv to make her move against the bikers who believe they are untouchable. Something they don't quite understand yet. Maggie, the diner's owner, fidgets behind the counter. She's a tough woman, always has been, but there's a pleading look in her eyes as she glances at Liv. She doesn't speak, doesn't need to. They both know there's only one person in this room who can stop this before it spirals out of control. And it isn't the sheriff. Liv, however, remains still. Watching. Calculating. Patience. That's the difference between a trained soldier and a reckless brute. She's studied men like Duke her entire life. She knows their type. Bullies. Predators. Men who thrive on fear. And fear? That's just a tool. A tool she knows how to turn against them. The sun begins to dip, its last light bleeding across the sky, casting an eerie orange glow over the small town. A storm is coming. Liv knows it. She rises slowly, her movements deliberate, never rushed. Jack scoffs. "That's what I thought. Walk away." But Liv isn't walking away. She's leading them outside. And they're too arrogant to realize they're following a predator into her hunting ground. She walks toward her old but well-maintained truck, only to find the bikers standing around it, blocking her way. Duke leans against the hood, arms crossed, grinning. Jax taps the side mirror with a knife. "Commander Carter, huh? Funny title for someone who ain't commanding anything now," Duke sneers. The gang laughs, circling her slowly, their body language dripping with mock aggression. Liv remains still, hands loose at her sides, not a sign of fear, but a fighter's readiness. Jack steps closer, smirking. "You think wearing a uniform makes you tough? Bet you spent most of your time giving orders behind a desk." Liv studies them silently, observing their habits. Duke favors his right leg, an old injury, perhaps. Jax is all talk, loud but hesitant when truly tested. One of the younger bikers, Trey, shifts uncomfortably, his confidence wavering. She measures the group, not reacting, just analyzing. Liv spots Trey, the youngest and most hesitant biker, standing slightly apart from the rest. She catches his eye, calm but piercing, planting the first seeds of doubt in his mind. "You ever been in a real fight, kid?" Liv asks, voice low but firm. Trey doesn't respond, shifting on his feet as the gang watches. Duke chuckles. "You think talking is gonna get you out of this?" Liv tilts her head, seemingly unconcerned. "No. But you might want to listen. I once met a man just like you, Duke." She tells a calculated story, recalling a past mission, a ruthless enemy leader who underestimated her. Duke tenses, but the gang laughs, dismissing her words. One of the bikers, Colt, scoffs. "Enough talk." He reaches for her arm. A sharp twist, a step forward, and Colt is face first on the pavement, his wrist twisted at a painful angle. Silence. Liv releases him, stepping back as he scrambles away, wide-eyed. The gang exchanges uncertain glances. Liv just proved she wasn't an easy target. Frustrated and humiliated, the gang turns to destruction. While Liv is inside grabbing a drink for the road, the bikers slash all four of her truck's tires. Joe sees the damage first, his fists clenching. "They're pushing you, Liv. Don't let them drag you into this." Liv exhales, steadying herself. She isn't angry, she's calculating. She knows this isn't just about a truck. They're testing her limits. She walks outside, seeing Duke grinning smugly near her disabled vehicle. "Guess you're not going anywhere, Commander," he taunts. Duke tenses, but the gang laughs, brushing off Liv's words as bravado. One of the bikers, Colt, scoffs loudly. "Enough talk." He strides forward, his intentions clear as he reaches for her arm. In a heartbeat, Liv's movements are swift and decisive. With a sharp twist, she steps forward, and Colt finds himself face-first on the pavement, his wrist twisted at an agonizing angle. Silence. Liv releases him immediately, stepping back as he scrambles away, wide-eyed and gasping for breath. The gang exchanges uncertain glances, their bravado deflated. Liv has just proven she isn't an easy target. Frustrated and humiliated, the bikers glance at one another, their demeanor shifting from amusement to anger. In a fit of rage, they turn their attention to destruction, unable to contain their need for retaliation. While Liv is inside the diner, grabbing a drink for the road, the gang moves quickly, slashing all 4 of her truck's tires with vicious glee. Outside, Joe, sitting at a nearby table, sees the damage first and his fists clench tightly. "They're pushing you, Liv. Don't let them drag you into this," he warns, concern etched on his face. Liv exhales slowly, steadying herself. She isn't angry, she's calculating. Each action from the bikers is a move in a twisted game of chess, and she knows they're testing her limits. With a determined stride, she walks outside, the weight of the evening settling heavily on her shoulders. Her eyes immediately find Duke, who stands nearby, grinning smugly near her disabled vehicle. "Guess you're not going anywhere, Commander," he taunts, his voice dripping with mockery. Liv takes a moment to assess the scene. The gang's arrogance radiates off them like heat from a fire. She can sense their eagerness to see her break, to watch her lose control. "You really think this is going to scare me?" she replies, her voice steady and unwavering. The words hang in the air, drawing the attention of the gang. Duke steps closer, his grin widening. "It's not about scaring you, it's about making you feel helpless. You think you can keep this town safe? Look at your truck." He gestures dismissively, as if her vehicle is just another toy he can destroy. Liv locks eyes with him, her expression a mask of calm determination. "You've made a mistake, Duke. This isn't just about my truck or your ego. This is about respect. And you're about to learn that I don't take kindly to disrespect." The gang falls silent, tension crackling in the air like a live wire. Liv's words cut through the bravado, and for a fleeting moment, doubt flickers in their eyes. They've underestimated her before, but now they can see the fire behind her calm demeanor. Duke's smirk falters slightly, but he quickly recovers, trying to regain control of the situation. "What are you going to do? Call the sheriff?" "He's not here, and you're all alone." Liv steps closer, her voice dropping to a low, dangerous whisper. "I fought in places you can't even imagine. I'm never alone." With that, Liv turns her back on the gang and walks back into the diner. The bikers exchange confused glances, unsure of what her next move will be. Duke, frustrated and angered, watches her with narrowed eyes, plotting his next steps, while deep down, he senses that he may have underestimated her once again. Inside the diner, Liv pulls out her phone, her mind racing with plans. She knows this isn't just about tires or respect, it's about sending a message that will resonate throughout the town. She won't let them tear down her hard-earned peace. As she dials a number, her resolve solidifies. It's time to show the gang that there are consequences for their actions. Duke steps forward, cracking his knuckles. "Tell you what, I'll give you a chance. Fight me, one-on-one. Let's see if a woman can actually take me down." The gang cheers, Jack smirking. "Yeah, Commander, show us what you got." Liv doesn't react immediately. She simply looks at Duke, her expression unreadable. "I don't waste my time on weak men," she replies. The gang erupts in laughter, until Duke steps too close. He grabs the collar of Liv's jacket, yanking her slightly forward. A flash of movement. Duke's wrist is suddenly bent at an unnatural angle. Liv leans in, voice cold. "You're about to learn what real fear looks like." Duke jerks away, shaking his wrist, his smirk faltering. The tension thickens. Liv has just declared war. The air is tense, the sky now dark, the neon lights of the diner flickering. The bikers think they have the upper hand. Liv moves first, not waiting for them to decide. She steps back toward a narrow alley, forcing them to follow. Duke smirks. "Where you going, Commander?" "Nowhere to run." Jax lunges first, overconfident and reckless. Liv sidesteps, grabs his arm, and flips him hard onto the pavement. A swift elbow to his ribs, Jax is down, coughing, barely able to move. The gang hesitates. This wasn't supposed to happen. Duke steps forward, cracking his knuckles with a self-satisfied grin. "Tell you what, I'll give you a chance. Fight me, one-on-one. Let's see if a woman can actually take me down." The challenge hangs in the air, taunting Liv, while the gang erupts in cheers, Jax smirking from the sidelines. "Yeah, Commander, show us what you got," he jeers, eager to see her humiliated. Liv doesn't react immediately. Instead, she maintains her calm demeanor, studying Duke with a steely gaze, her expression unreadable. The laughter of the gang echoes around her, but it only serves to heighten her focus. She replies coolly, her voice steady and unwavering. The laughter suddenly halts, replaced by a tense silence as Duke steps too close, his confidence waning. He grabs the collar of Liv's jacket, yanking her slightly forward, his eyes narrowing. In an instant, there's a flash of movement. With a swift motion, Liv bends Duke's wrist at an unnatural angle, the suddenness of her action taking everyone by surprise. She leans in, her voice cold and unyielding. Duke jerks away, shaking his wrist in disbelief, the smirk fading from his face. The gang watches in stunned silence, the atmosphere thickening as the implications of Liv's display of strength sink in. She has just declared war, and they've underestimated her at every turn. The air becomes electric, the sky now dark with swirling clouds, the neon lights of the diner flickering ominously. The bikers, who had believed they had the upper hand, exchange uneasy glances, unsure of what to do next. Without waiting for them to decide, Liv takes the initiative. She steps back toward a narrow alley, a strategic move that forces the gang to follow her into her territory. Duke taunts, his bravado attempting to mask his uncertainty. But Liv merely smirks, her eyes glinting with determination. She knows this space well. It's where she can maneuver, where her agility can outmatch their brute strength. Jax, fueled by overconfidence and a desire to prove himself, lunges first, charging at her recklessly. Liv is ready. She sidesteps his advance effortlessly, grabbing his arm and flipping him hard onto the pavement. The impact sends shockwaves through the gang, Jax gasping as he hits the ground, a swift elbow to his ribs leaving him down and coughing, barely able to move. The remaining bikers hesitate, their bravado shattered. This wasn't supposed to happen. The sight of their comrade sprawled on the ground, gasping for air, sends a ripple of uncertainty through them. They had come expecting an easy target, a vulnerable woman they could toy with. Instead, they are confronted with a seasoned warrior, a force to be reckoned with. Liv stands tall, her stance relaxed but ready, her piercing gaze sweeping over the gang. "Who's next?" she challenges, her voice ringing clear in the tense air. The bikers exchange glances, their confidence faltering as they realize they might be outmatched. Liv's calm confidence radiates strength, making it clear that this is her territory, and they are the invaders. One down, Liv mutters, her eyes cold. For the first time, they look uncertain. Duke snarls, "Get her!" Two more bikers rush in. Liv sidesteps one, sending him crashing into a dumpster. The second swings at her, she ducks, sweeps his legs, and he slams onto the asphalt. Chaos erupts. The gang is disorganized. Liv is urgical, efficient, controlled, and unshaken. Trail, he hesitant young biker, freezes, realizing Liv is far beyond them. Duke watches, fists clenched, rage boiling. Duke steps forward, cracking his knuckles. Enough games. Liv watches him, unmoved. She's been waiting for this moment. Duke swings, a wild, brute force punch. Liv dodges. Smooth. Effortless. He tries again. Misses. Again. Misses. Duke is getting frustrated. Liv. She's just getting started. "That all you got?" she taunts, barely breathing hard. Duke roars, charging. Duke steps forward, cracking his knuckles with a menacing grin. "Enough games," he growls, the threat hanging in the air like a storm cloud. The other bikers step back slightly, sensing the tension escalating. Liv stands her ground, unflinching, her expression calm and composed. She's been waiting for this moment, prepared for the inevitable clash that has been brewing since the bikers walked into the diner. Every interaction, every taunt, has led to this confrontation. With a roar, Duke swings, a wild, brute force punch aimed directly at her face. Liv's instincts kick in, and she dodges to the side, her movement smooth and effortless, as if time has slowed down just for her. The punch whizzes past her, missing by mere inches, and she feels a rush of adrenaline surge through her veins. Duke, undeterred, tries again. This time, he throws a wide right hook, but Liv anticipates the move and sidesteps again, her feet light and agile. "Come on, Duke, is that all you got?" she taunts, barely breathing hard. Her voice drips with confidence, a challenge that echoes off the walls. Frustration begins to mar Duke's features as he realizes that he's not as invincible as he thought. His muscles tense, and his face reddens with anger, but Liv remains composed. She has fought tougher opponents in more brutal situations. This is just another challenge to overcome. With a primal roar, Duke charges at her, fueled by his rage and desperation. His powerful frame lunges forward, fists swinging wildly, but Liv's focus sharpens. She knows that he's relying on brute force, underestimating her speed and strategy. As he closes in, she feints to the left, making him think she's going to evade again. But in a split second, she pivots, using his momentum against him. She ducks under his swinging arm, and as he stumbles past her, she executes a precise kick to the back of his knee. The move is swift, calculated, and effective. Duke's knee buckles beneath him, and he collapses, crashing to the ground. The impact sends a ripple through the other bikers, who watch in shock as their leader struggles to regain his footing. "Is that all you've got, Duke?" Liv mocks, standing over him, her stance steady and unyielding. "I expected more from someone so full of himself." Duke glares up at her, anger radiating off him in waves. But Liv can see the cracks beginning to form in his bravado. She's not just fighting him physically, she's dismantling his confidence, piece by piece. He lunges again, this time with a sense of desperation, but Liv is ready. She sidesteps his feeble attempt and delivers a sharp jab to his ribs, forcing the air from his lungs. Duke gasps, his face contorting in pain, but Liv remains calm, a predator savoring the thrill of the hunt. "You really thought you could just come into my town and bully my friends?" she asks, her voice low and dangerous. "You don't know who you're dealing with." The others in the gang begin to shift nervously, glancing at each other. They're realizing that their leader is outmatched. Liv is no ordinary opponent. She is a trained warrior, and this is her territory. Duke, now breathing heavily and visibly shaken, tries to rise, but Liv isn't done. She stands over him, the embodiment of strength and determination. With a final calculated strike, she delivers a swift kick to his side, sending him sprawling back onto the ground. "Fight's over, Duke," she declares, her voice steady and resolute. The other bikers are frozen, caught between shock and fear as they witness their leader's defeat. Liv looms over him, a fierce protector ready to defend her own. She knows that this fight has implications beyond just physical prowess. It's about standing up against those who believe they can take what they want without consequence. Liv sidesteps, grabs his arm, and twists. His own momentum works against him. A sharp jab to his ribs. Duke stumbles, gasping. He's slower now, angrier, reckless. Liv is patient, precise. She breaks him down piece by piece. The turning point. Duke swings wide, Liv ducks, lands a brutal strike to his knee. He collapses, wheezing, clutching his leg. Liv looms over him, calm, deadly. Fight's over. The bikers are broken. Some have fled. Others groan on the pavement. Duke is on his hands and knees, humiliated. The sheriff finally arrives. Too late, of course. He glances at the scene, trying to act like he had things under control. Liv steps closer to Duke, kneeling slightly. "Listen carefully," she says coldly. "If I ever see you in this town again, you won't be walking away next time." Duke looks up, and for the first time, there's real fear in his eyes. The silence is deafening. The fight is over, but the impact lingers. The townspeople emerge, cautious at first, their expressions a mix of shock and admiration. Joe shakes his head, chuckling. "Damn, Liv. You still got it." He looks at the wreckage of Duke's gang, then back at her. "I guess some warriors never retire." The sheriff finally speaks. "I had things under control," he blusters, trying to salvage his pride. The crowd isn't fooled. The way they look at Liv says it all. She's the real protector here. Liv steps closer to Duke, her movements deliberate and measured. She kneels slightly, bringing herself to eye level with him. Her gaze is piercing, filled with a cold intensity that makes it clear she means every word. "Listen carefully," she says, her voice low and steady. "If I ever see you in this town again, you won't be walking away next time." Duke looks up at her, and for the first time, there's real fear in his eyes. The bravado that once filled him is stripped away, leaving only the raw vulnerability of a man confronted with the consequences of his actions. The silence that follows is deafening. The fight is over, but the impact lingers like smoke in the air, palpable and heavy. Around them, the townspeople begin to emerge from their hiding spots, cautiously stepping into the scene. Their expressions reflect a mix of shock and admiration, eyes darting between Liv and the wreckage of Duke's gang, the aftermath of what had just unfolded. Joe, ever the observant veteran, shakes his head, a chuckle escaping his lips. "Damn, Liv. You still got it," he says, his voice filled with pride. He surveys the defeated bikers, their arrogance shattered, then turns back to Liv with a grin. "I guess some warriors never retire." Just then, the sheriff, who had been conspicuously absent throughout the chaos, finally steps forward. "I had things under control," he blusters, trying to salvage his pride, but his voice lacks conviction. The crowd isn't fooled. The way they look at Liv says it all. She's the real protector here, the one who stood up when no one else would. Their glances shift from her to the sheriff, judgment clear in their eyes. Liv straightens, taking in the scene with a sense of calm authority. She knows that this moment is about more than just the fight. It's about restoring faith in the town's safety and security. As the realization settles in, the atmosphere begins to shift. The townsfolk, once fearful and hesitant, now find strength in Liv's presence. One by one, they start to approach her, some offering grateful nods, others murmuring words of thanks. Maggie, the diner owner, steps forward, her face brightening with relief. "Thank you, Liv. You've always been our hero," she says, her voice filled with gratitude. Liv nods in acknowledgement, feeling the weight of the community's appreciation settle on her shoulders. She may prefer solitude, but moments like these remind her of the bonds that connect them all. As the sun finally sets, casting a warm glow over the town, Liv knows this battle has changed everything. The bikers are a broken group, their leader humiliated and fearful, their unity shattered. And while Duke may still be out there, the fear in his eyes has planted a seed of doubt. "You might want to think twice about your next move," she murmurs to Duke, her voice a low warning. "This town isn't your playground." With that, she turns away from him, feeling the support of her community behind her. Liv knows that the fight isn't over, there will always be challenges ahead, but for now, she's ready to face whatever comes next. For the first time, the town realizes they don't have to be afraid anymore. Later, Liv sits by her truck, the adrenaline wearing off. She gazes at the stars, deep in thought. A lifetime of battles, of sacrifice, of never truly standing down. She remembers the oath she took all those years ago, to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Even now, long after her service, that promise still defines her. Joe sits beside her. "You ever get tired of fighting?" Liv exhales. "I don't fight because I want to, Joe. I fight because someone has to." The bikers are gone, but the tension remains. Duke lies in the dirt, barely able to move, his eyes burning with humiliation. He knows he lost, but is he really done? Or is this just the beginning of something worse? Liv doesn't care. She's ready for whatever comes next. She gives Duke one last look. "Stay down, Duke. Next time, you won't get back up." Liv gets into her truck, the weight of the night settling in. She starts the engine, takes one last look at the town, then drives off. As she disappears down the dark highway, her words linger in the air. Strength isn't just about power, it's about knowing when to fight and when to walk away. Days later, the news breaks. A biker gang was taken down in a neighboring town, arrested after trying to stir up trouble again. Duke was among them. His mugshot flashes across the TV screen, his once cocky grin replaced by a defeated scowl. Joe watches the report with a smirk. Guess they didn't learn. Liv, however, isn't surprised. She knows men like Duke don't change. They just find new places to spread their rot. Liv gets into her truck, the weight of the night settling heavily on her shoulders. The adrenaline from the confrontation has faded, leaving her with a sense of both accomplishment and unease. She starts the engine, the rumble of the vehicle breaking the stillness of the darkened streets. Before she drives off, Liv takes one last look at the town, the place she has come to call home. The familiar buildings stand as silent witnesses to the chaos that just unfolded. Strength isn't just about power, it's about knowing when to fight and when to walk away, she whispers to herself, her own words echoing in her mind like a mantra. As she disappears down the dark highway, the glow of the town fades in her rearview mirror. Days pass, and the quiet routine of life begins to settle back into place. But peace in this town is often fleeting, and soon enough, the news breaks. A report flashes across the television screen, bright and bold. Biker gang taken down in neighboring town. Liv pauses her own thoughts, intrigued by the headline. As the story unfolds, her attention sharpens. The announcer details how the gang was apprehended after trying to stir up trouble once again. Duke was among them. His mugshot flashes across the screen, the once cocky grin replaced by a defeated scowl, his eyes clouded with regret and fear. In the corner of the room, Joe watches the report, a smirk playing on his lips as he shakes his head. "Guess they didn't learn," he remarks, a hint of satisfaction in his tone. Liv chuckles softly at his comment, knowing that in a small town like theirs, news travels fast. But beneath her amusement lies a deeper understanding of the nature of people like Duke. As the report continues, Liv's mind wanders. She isn't surprised by the news. Men like Duke don't change, they simply shift their focus, finding new places to spread their rot. Her gaze drifts to the window, watching the world outside. She thinks about the townspeople, the vulnerability they had shown, and how they had rallied around her. This moment of unity was a victory in itself, a sign that they could stand against those who sought to bully them. But in her heart, she knows this isn't over. She feels a sense of responsibility, an obligation to remain vigilant. This isn't just about me, she thinks, her resolve hardening. It's about all of us. With a newfound determination, Liv decides it's time to take action. The town needs a support system, a way for veterans and community members to band together against threats, old and new. She envisions a place where they can share their experiences and prepare for whatever challenges lie ahead. As she moves through her day, she starts to brainstorm ideas for a community outreach program, a safe haven for veterans, a support group that empowers them to reclaim their lives and contribute to their town. And so, as she goes about her routine, the quiet strength of her spirit shines through. Liv knows the road ahead may be fraught with difficulties, but she is ready. She understands now that strength isn't just physical. It's also about resilience, community, and the unyielding will to protect those who can't protect themselves. As the sun sets on another day, Liv drives forward, her heart steady and her purpose clear. She is a warrior, and this fight, this journey, is far from over. Her phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. "Still making waves, Commander. Some things never change. Be ready." A flicker of recognition. The message isn't random. It's from someone who knows her past. Someone watching.